Go to any major port in the world and you'll see them. These absolutely colossal container ships from MSC. They are just everywhere, a constant, undeniable part of the global landscape. But what you're seeing, that's really just the tip of the iceberg.
Because behind that massive visible fleet is an almost invisible fortune. We're talking about a private family-held net worth estimated at around $100 billion, a number that just exploded during the pandemic. And that is the silent engine powering the whole operation.
And that brings us to the real question here, right? How in the world did a single family, the Apontes, build a global empire on this scale, almost completely in the dark, becoming what you could call the world's shadow carrier?
Okay, so let's get into how they operate. MSC exists inside this total cone of silence. I mean, they run the biggest fleet on the planet, but they have never, not once, published any financial statements. They're not on the stock market, so they don't answer to shareholders. And the Aponte family? Forget about it. They turn down every single interview request. Now, this isn't just them being private. This is a strategy. It's a weapon.
To really understand how they pulled this off, we've got to rewind. We have to go all the way back to the beginning. To one man, a former ship's captain who saw a much, much bigger picture than just the view from the bridge. What's so fascinating about this timeline is the sheer patience of it all. The ruthless long-game calculation. It starts in 1970. Captain Gianluigi Aponte buys one single second-hand ship. For decades, he and his family just poured every dime they made back into the business, buying more ships, quietly dominating routes nobody else wanted. Fast forward to 2022, and bam, they're number one. And by 2025, the captain, now in his 80s, is personally in the room brokering deals worth tens of billions. It's a 50-year plan executed in almost perfect silence.
So this is the official line from the group president, Diego Aponte. And you know what? It's true. But the family's real strategy, their true genius, isn't about moving boxes across an ocean. It's about what happens when those boxes hit the land.
You see, the Apontes figured out a fundamental truth about power a long, long time ago. Ruling the waves is great, but owning the shores, that's everything. Real, lasting control comes from owning the gates to the entire global economy.
And this map just illustrates that ambition perfectly. I mean, just look at it. Through their subsidiary, Till, the Aponte family has built a strategic network of over 70 port terminals. These aren't just dots on a map. These are the choke points. They control the flow of goods into and out of entire continents.
And then came the Masterstroke, a nearly $23 billion deal with BlackRock to buy up the port operations of a huge competitor. This was it. This was the one move designed to make MSC the undisputed #1 terminal operator on the entire planet.
But, and this is so crucial, their conquest did not stop at the coastline. They started to follow the cargo, moving their empire deep into the heart of nations. This is where they transformed from a shipping dynasty into a full-blown infrastructure empire. This paper trail lays out the playbook perfectly. They buy Portugal's state-owned rail freight company. They start their own rail and truck services in Italy. Then they partner with the national rail company itself. They are systematically buying up the arteries that connect their ports to the economies of Europe.
But then, the strategy shifts into something else, something bigger. They buy half of Italy's private high-speed passenger train company. They buy into a major South African hospital operator, an Italian airport. They even bought an Italian newspaper. Suddenly, they're not just buying logistics companies anymore, they're buying into the essential, sovereign fabric of a country.
And this leads to this stunningly effective new kind of corporate warfare. Let's call it institutional money laundering. Now let's be clear, this isn't about hiding illegal cash. It's about taking legally earned billions and embedding them so deeply into a nation's critical infrastructure that your company basically becomes part of the state.
Just think about it for a second. What they've created is a legal hostage situation, but on a global scale. If regulators try to go after MSC for, say, unfair practices at their ports, well, they risk messing up Italy's passenger rail system. If another government starts an investigation, they could threaten funding for a hospital network. The family has made itself too essential to challenge and way too powerful to prosecute.
So how did they build all this? Well, the engine behind this entire empire isn't some faceless board of directors or a bunch of Wall Street shareholders. No, it is one family.
And their private structure, that's their ultimate advantage. It's their superpower.
While their public competitors have to answer to shareholders, post quarterly earnings, and worry about the stock price, MSC answers to absolutely no one. This lets them make these ruthless 50-year plans and reinvest every single dollar without anyone looking over their shoulder.
And for more than half a century, all of that power has been concentrated right here, in the hands of the founder, Gianluigi, his wife, Raffaella, who holds half the company, their son, Diego, the president, their daughter, Alexa, the CFO, and their son-in-law. It is a completely closed loop of control.
And this is what you get. A perfectly integrated stack of power. They control the ships on the sea, the ports where those ships dock, the trains and trucks that move the cargo inland, and now the critical infrastructure that entire countries need to survive.
What the Aponte family has built is something totally new. It's a private, non-state power that acts with the scale and the influence of a country, but with zero accountability to any voters or any shareholders. And look, the real horror of a monopoly like this isn't some secret manifest with smuggled goods on it. The true horror is that their absolute chokehold on the global supply chain is entirely legal. They don't need to break the law. They are the weapon.
And that leaves us with the really uncomfortable, but really important question. In a world where one single secretive family can privatize the very arteries of global survival, and then weave that power into our hospitals and our trains, who is left to hold them accountable?